Welcome to this short intro into file management. Mostly, we're going to talk about file structures today and all of their dreamy excitement and wonderful things. But first, we're going to go through the 3-2-1 rules of file management. This will help keep your files safe. Make 3 backups. If you only have 1 copy of your footage and then you do something stupid with it, then you run out of footage. What are you going to do? So you need 3 backups. Have 2 different media storage types. For instance, if you were using a hard drive, you might also have a cloud. This is all about contingencies, because if you lose your hard drive or you lose the internet, then you know that you can still have your files accessible. Keep 1 copy at home. Communal workspaces in any environment, and definitely here at uni, are notoriously unreliable. Companies might wipe their machines or sometimes just lose information, so make sure that you have a piece of information at home that you are 100% the person responsible for. Now that our files are secure, we have to do everyone's favorite task and enter the magical realm of file structuring. A file structure is an easy way of managing your files professionally. Keeping things organized will save time, as you will know where to find your files. You'll know where they're going to be, and you won't have to spend time sifting through all the information for hours and 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 hours. Different workplaces will have their own methods for this, but they all try to achieve the same thing. I'm going to take you through a simple template, but just as a starting off point, because you're going to want to adjust your process as your project progresses. We have put a blank copy of the structure below that you can copy and paste into new projects as and when you need them. Now, let's go through the basic structure. Each folder name should start with a number, and that's just to make sure things stay in order. And up first, we've got edit files. Edit files are where you're going to want to save stuff like your Premiere project or your Audition project or your After Effects project. It's where you save your projects in various softwares, but beneath edit files you want subfolders for each software, just so you can keep them all separate, and then within them you can iterate as needed. After your edit files, you have your media folder, and this is where you're going to save your footage or your audio, and you're going to split the media folder into those 2 sections. The structures those 2 exist in are very similar, but there are some differences. So first we're going to go through footage. Footage gets split up into different shoot days and then into the different cameras used on that day. And if it helps, you can add extra information to those camera folder names, such as the model and who was on it. Once your camera folders are created, you want to copy your entire cards into them wholemeal. Camera formatting is quite specific, so if you immediately dive in and start extracting different elements, then you run the risk of corrupting your files or making them unreadable. So we're just going to copy the whole thing into a folder within your camera that's called card. And now that your files are in, you're going to need to convert them in something like Media Encoder. So beneath your card folder, you will have converted, and that is where you're going to put all of your nice new readable footage. And it's at this point that you can start splitting your footage into things like scenes, takes, sort through and find the good, the bad, and the ugly. It is worth taking the time to rename your footage at the point of conversion, because the names that come out of those cameras, it's like looking into the Matrix. Names like DCM_004678295674321016, they get confusing at times. So when you're renaming your footage, you want to make it something recognizable. For instance, if you've got a bit of footage where a guy named Bob is feeding his fish named Shredder, then you might call your footage Bob Feeds Shredder Fish.mov. If you are sharing these files with other people, you need to make sure that you don't both rename the files, and then because you'll just get lost. So if you're collaborating, then collaborate. And then you've got the audio. So the audio is generally the same, but you're not going to name it camera 1, camera 2. You're going to name it after the audio devices you've used. You also might not need to convert audio files because they tend to kick out quite easily. All the way back out, after media files, we have assets. And that is where you're going to store any of your extra material like stills or music, graphics, etc. that you might use during your projects. It's sort of extra stuff, like generically stuff you didn't film yourself. In documents, you are going to put all of your plans and stuff like that Documents isn't going to be that helpful during your edit, but you're doing all of this in advance because you're organized. That's what we're doing today. We're staying organized. And finally, we have exports. Exports. You know what they are? That's where you export to. So that's your drafts. And then it's the final draft that's just the real thing. Export's super simple, but at least you know where stuff is. When you are exporting, don't do the same thing everyone always does, which is to export your first draft with just the name of your thing, and then underneath that, just have a bunch of similarly named versions of your final thing. Make sure you call it draft 1, draft 2, so that you can find things later, because we are organized. So that's basically it. Apart from you want to reflect your file structure in your Premiere or your Audition or whatever you're in, you want to reflect it so that you are always reading the same stuff and you don't confuse yourself. So we have put an edit structure in the folder that you can drag and drop into your projects so that all your bins are laid out nicely and organized, and we can stay organized people. Now, fly away, and don't forget to structure those files.